Hi guys, it's Claire. I'm back today with a card making process video for you on behalf of Craft Stash. They've kindly sent me 2 sets of their new dies to play with. Today we're going to be making a card using this set, and then I'll do another video using the oval set. Let me quickly tell you about these dies. These are brand new dies that they've brought out. They're by Creative Dies Plus. And they, as they say, are craft essentials with a little extra. They're really, really nice dies. I'm super impressed with these. They're a set of stitched and pierced nesties, or nesting dies, so nesting oval dies, nesting rectangle dies, and they alternate between stitching and piercing. So you get stitched, pierce, etc. Really, really nice. There are 13 sets to get, all different shapes, obviously. They are a really, really good size die. They are, I mean, we use dies like this all the time, as you know. Frame dies, basic shapes, essentials are just my absolute favourite. You can't go wrong with dies like this, and these are just beautiful. To get the scallop and also the pierced and stitching is just lovely. They range in price from about £12 up to £16, depending what ones you have. And that's it. As I say, I'm going to make a card using this set here today. So what I've done is I'm going to actually make a card. Let me show you this card, this here, which is something that I done at workshop a couple of weeks ago. This was our workshop card, and as you can see, I used a scallop die on here. Now this one was a completely different one. This is a Mama Elephant one, still a beautiful die, but if I'm honest, quite a bit dearer. This is actually a lot cheaper because you're getting a nesting set. This was just one on its own. It had other bits, but not as many as this one. Yeah, so I'm going to recreate this card, but with a bit of a twist. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is use my biggest die to cut out some white cardstock. I'm going to pull out these two, the biggest two actually, because I think I'm only going to use these two for today's card. Okay, so bear with me a sec. I'm just going to head to my Big Shot machine and cut out some white. Okay, so I'm back from the cutting machine. They cut out perfectly, and I do love that stitching, is really, really nice. I've cut out 2 because I want to make my card base from this. So I want it to be a scalloped card base. So to do that, as I say, I've cut out 2. We're going to score on one, stick one on top of the other to give us a nice folding card base. I'm using my Stampin' Up scorer. You don't have to obviously have a Stampin' Up one, anyone will do. And I'm just running up and down with my scoring blade so that I've got a fold there. I'm going to apply some glue here. I've kept that fold quite large because on a card this size, that's fine. You can get away with that, to be honest. You could have done it very delicate and gone along that line, but you don't really need to. So I'm going to stick that just along that fold to make myself my card base. Now for speed, I'm just going to use my Scotch gun to do this. So now I've got myself a card base. You can open this up a little bit more. And this is a really, really nice size card base as well. Okay, I'm going to use the next size down now to cut out a piece of grey. Okay, so back from the machine again, and I've cut out that one in, this is a Stampin' Up cardstock, which is called Smoky Slate. So that's that, and this one now, because we're alternating, this one had the stitched and this one had the pierced, so it's really nice to be able to mix it up like that. So that's going to go on the front of my card, like so. Now in the middle of that I want a piece of white, so I've cut a piece of white cardstock just to fit inside those pierced dots so that I don't lose that piercing there. I still want to see that obviously, so my piece of card actually measured 8 centimetres by 9.9, and that gave me the perfect little size to fit in there and not lose that piercing. Okay, now on this piece of white I'm going to do some stenciling. I'm going to be using this My Favourite Things stencil, which is one of their new ones out. It's called Star Grid, and I'm going to run this across the bottom. Now to do that, I've just got a piece of scrap paper for a minute. I'm going to stick my white piece of card. You can actually see a colour difference here. This is a pure white and this is a slightly off white. Not that it matters, but you'll be able to see, hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing enough. So I'm sticking my piece of white just temporarily down onto a scrap piece of white. And I'm going to pop my stencil on top, make sure it's nice and straight along the bottom of my card, and then hold that in place using just a bit of washi tape. Okay. Now to do our stenciling, I'm filling in 2 inks. These are Tim Holtz Distress inks. I'm going to start by doing the darkest colour. So pick up some of the ink and just dab this and rub this across the bottom of the card. I'm just making a little ground, so a little bit of floor here. And you're going really quite rough. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just getting some dark colour on there. And then to neaten up the top of that, I'm going to blend it out a little bit with a slightly lighter colour. So here I want to go a little bit more softer, blend that out and make sure that there's no harsh line. And that's it, really simple stenciling. And obviously you could use any stencil for this, I just quite like this new one. Pull this up and then carefully pull off my card from my piece of scrap paper. There you go. And you've got your little stenciled ground or floor there. Very, very sweet. Now, as you can see from my workshop card, if I show you this again, my printout, I've got 2 of the little, my favourite things, elephants. Now, I've gone ahead and pre-coloured or stamped, coloured and cut them out. Just to save time. You don't need to watch me colouring, but I will put just on the screen here the colours that I've used. So if you've got Copic pens, you'll be able to see what colours that I've used. I'm going to put foam pads on the back and they will eventually be sitting on there. But before we do that, I just want to eyeball where they're going to go so that I know where to stick my sentiment. This is the My Favourite Things elephant stamp set, adorable elephants. And I'm going to use, I think I'm going to stick with the one that I used before. Actually, no, I'm going to change it. I'm going to use this Dream Big, I think. Yeah. Okay, so to get my sentiment on there, I'm going to use my Hampton Arts stamp press or Stamp Perfect positioner. Pop that on. I've got my free grid that I downloaded and printed out with some onto some transparency. So now I can see that my sentiment is nice and straight. Pop those elephants, yeah, about there is going to be perfect. So just close the lid so that it picks up my sentiment, move my transparency out the way, pop my magnets on so that nothing moves while I'm stamping. And I'm going to be stamping just in black VersaFine. It stamped really nicely first time, but I'm just going to go over it again just to make that black nice and dark. Okay, so now it's time to stick my little elephants on. So I'm just going to pop some foam tape on the back. Okay, so I've got foam tape on the back now. I'm going to stand one elephant up here and one elephant down a bit lower, and I want his ear touching him so they look like a pair, not just 2 separate pieces on the card. And now I can stick this whole thing onto my grey piece that I cut out. Probably would have been wise to stick that on before, but never mind. That's on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick that on the front of my card. I don't know if I want that raised or flat stuck. I think I'm going to stick with it being flat stuck, but you could raise it if you wanted to. There's that. And to finish off, I'm going to make some teeny tiny little stars. I'm going to use the EK Success star punch. Excuse mine, it's really grubby, well used. And I'm going to use the teeniest little star on there and punch out a few of those. So I'm just going to grab a scrap of grey and use my punch upside down just so I can feed my grey cardstock in just to where I want it to get those tiny little stars. Yeah, I think 3 will be enough actually. Okay, so I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 little dots of glue. And pop your stars on. And when they've had a couple of minutes to dry, I'm just going to go over them with a wink of Stella just to give them some sparkle and shine. Mine aren't dry properly yet, you need to have a little bit more patience than me. And there you go, that's your card. Super simple, really sweet to give out. It's easy to make, and these scallops are just lovely. They just make it so pretty. I really like that. So yeah, that's card number 1. As I say, using the new creative dies. I'm going to do another video for you now, using the oval dies. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching it. I'll make sure everything's linked below so you know where to head and buy everything. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.